everyone, my name is Danielle and welcome to another episode of Board Game Bakes. This is a fun show where we make board game components in edible form. This week we're going big! We're going to focus on Hues and Cues, which is from the Off Games, and we're going to recreate the entire game board because it has so many pretty colors and just screams to be a cake. Here's how you do it. Now it's time to make our cakes. Depending on how much cake you want, you could use 2 to 3 boxes of white cake mix. I'm sure there's a delicious recipe somewhere, but I went with cake mix. Put the powder mix, water, oil, and egg whites per your package instructions into the mixer and mix as directed. Mix, 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 mix. I'm sure you can read a box, so let's get to the interesting part. Divide your batter into 8 separate bowls, or 4 bowls for each layer of cake. So I'm doing 2 layers, so I'm going to use 8 bowls. Use concentrated food gel to dye 2 bowls each of red, yellow, green, and blue. Now you're ready to pour! Line 2 of your largest cookie sheets with parchment paper. That could be enough for you. I'm a little paranoid, so I also spray with Pam and dust with flour because it's a very thin cake and you don't want to get stuck. Now you have to have at least a picture of the Hues and Cues board handy because the goal is to pour the different color batter in the pattern that's found on the game board. Pour blue and yellow at the same time and green and red in case the colors collide on the pan. Use your rubber spatula to get out any of the batter you missed by your initial pour. Then get to work spreading that cake around the pan. You want to try and mix the colors together, so even though you start with 4 colors, if you mix them, you can make it pretty much look like the game board. Now you want to bake at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clear. It's going to be way less time than the package says. This cake screams that it wants black cocoa frosting to contrast with all the colors. Or maybe it's just screaming to me. I'll list the ingredients down below, but first you're going to stick 3 sticks of butter into the mixer and mix until smooth. While this is mixing, combine 5 cups of powdered sugar, a half a cup black cocoa powder, a 1/4 cup regular cocoa powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt in a large bowl. Mix it together with a whisk. When the butter is smooth, add 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Now add your powdered sugar mixture slowly into the butter. Try not to inhale too much sugar smoke. Usually you can taste the sugar in the air. This will be pretty thick. Add 6 tablespoons of milk or heavy cream. And you can add more or less cream to get your desired consistency. I usually try and have it a little thinner so it's easier to spread on the cake. Now for the fun part, creating our decorations. You want to create cardboard pieces that are proportional for the guessing board, scoreboard, and logo. Once you have them the right size you want, line all of them with aluminum foil. Next, we're going to roll out some white fondant. Woohoo! I'm going to roll it to about 1/8 of an inch thick, and you're going to use those cardboard pieces you just cut out as templates. So cut her out the templates and have it on the side that's covered with aluminum foil. And I chose to have these just sit out pretty much the entire time I was decorating so they dry out and be a little thicker and easier to transfer onto the cake. To decorate them, I got to use my airbrush machine! Yay! I don't have a lot of chances to use it, so it was pretty exciting. It'd probably be a little difficult to get the same colors with royal icing, but you could do it. For the scoreboard, start by drawing a line down the middle using a black edible marker. Load the airbrusher with black and start on the bottom with the minimum amount of spray, and the bottom row gets darker from left to right, and then the top row actually gets darker from right to left. So the lightest spot's on the bottom left and the darkest is on the top left. For the main game board, start with black, which for me was already loaded into my airbrusher. Looking at the game board, add some black shading to the side and bottom of the board. Next start with purple. To make blending easier, pick a color and then just work all the way around the board. This makes it so that you don't need to rinse out your airbrush between each color. Or at least I didn't. I chose to do purple, pink, red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. Let it dry completely before adding the lines. Take a black edible marker and write out Hues and Cues on the smallest fondant rectangle to match the font on the box. While those decorations are drying, make the black fondant that will be between the icing and our fondant decorations. Either buy black fondant, or try making some white fondant and adding black gel coloring. I like using a marshmallow fondant because it's cheaper and probably tastes better in my opinion. So I just add a lot of black gel coloring to it. You need to combine it over and over again as it refuses to look black instead of gray. And I also found that if you let it sit, it tends to get at least a bit darker. Time to finish up our decorations. The scoreboard has 25 spaces on the bottom and 25 spaces on the top. Use a ruler to mark where you want your lines to go, and then use a ruler to create 24 lines. Marking off the game board is definitely the tricky part. You need 16 boxes going down and 30 across. So, time to do some maths depending on how large you made your piece. And then do it again because it's easier to mess up. And then you keep trying until you nominate your husband to draw the lines because you acknowledge that straight lines are not your strong suit. And there's no shame in that. Cut off any excess white on your Hues and Cues label. And we're ready to assemble our cake. Time to start to assemble our cake. Here we go. Center your cardboard cutout on your cake and cut out the excess. And you want to top that bit with the frosting. Yum, yum, yum. Use the cardboard piece to cut out the additional layer and place it on top of the icing. Trim off any excess bits so the edges are straight. Time to ice the cake! I just try to make sure it's covered with some form of icing because it'll be covered in fondant on top, which has even more sugar. Let the cake set in the fridge for at least 15 minutes so the edges harden. Use a spatula to smooth out the icing as much as possible. Roll out your black fondant to 1/8 of an inch thickness. Make it large enough to cover your cake. Smooth down the edges and trim any excess. Place a little water where you want to apply your fondant pieces and place them on the cake to mirror the game board. Next, use white royal icing to write 1 to 30 on the top and bottom of the color board. For the point marker, you want to label it with intervals of 5. And then do the sides with letters from A to P, which may not make sense in the order, but my hand was getting tired. Then give your hand a good shake to get rid of that cramp. We did it! Whew! Thanks for watching another episode of Board Game Bakes. I hope you enjoyed the video. When you look at the board, even on here, there's so many different colors on there that I didn't really know existed. So, what's your favorite color? Comment below. I think mine has to be teal. Tune in every Tuesday at 12 p.m. for a new video. So whether that's these big videos or some icing videos or even some savory treats, we're going to have a new video every Tuesday. So hit the subscribe button. Keep playing games and keep them sweet. Bye!